Blu-ray and DVDs may seem like a thing of the past, and many people think they're obsolete. But what if I told you that if you want to watch a movie in the highest possible quality, with no loss of definition and details so sharp they look almost real, this so-called old technology is still the best option we have? Yes, neither Netflix, Disney Plus, nor any other streaming platform comes close to the level of quality that Blu-ray offers. And what's even more surprising is that they probably never will. But why is that? How is it possible that a technology from 20 or 30 years ago still outperforms modern streaming services? And how can we check if this is really true, especially if we no longer have a DVD or Blu-ray player? Well, stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Blu-ray and optical discs in general, like DVDs, CDs, or laser discs, are a marvel of human engineering. I made a video about them a while ago, so I'll leave a link here if you want to check it out. Some people commented on that video saying that this technology is obsolete because of streaming platforms. But that's not entirely true. The thing is, Blu-ray has something very special that streaming platforms lack and probably never will, which is an absurdly superior image quality. Quick note, not long ago I made a video about 4K and analog TV broadcasts, and I explained how difficult it is to accurately show certain differences on YouTube because of how much the platform compresses videos. The same could happen in this video, but at the end, I'll show you a way you can verify the huge quality gap between Blu-ray and streaming services for yourself. We all know that video quality heavily depends on resolution. This determines how many vertical and horizontal lines make up an image, and therefore how many pixels form the picture. For example, right now this video is at 720p, meaning the image is made up of around 920,000 pixels. Now it's at 1080p with about 2,080,000 pixels. And now it's at 4K with roughly 8,300,000 pixels. Depending on what resolution you're watching this video in, you may have noticed a big difference. That's because resolution significantly affects image quality. But resolution isn't everything. Many other factors contribute to sharpness and quality, like bitrate. Bitrate measures how much information is transmitted per second in a video. It's expressed in megabits per second, and is what truly defines the quality of each pixel. In my video about analog TV and 4K, I did a practical bitrate test. At no point did I lower the resolution. I only adjusted the bitrate up and down. When it was at its lowest, it looked like we were watching a YouTube video at 144p from 20 years ago on a dial-up modem. But in reality, it was still in 4K at 60 frames per second, just with an extremely low bitrate, which is why it looked terrible. Now, this is exactly where Blu-ray absolutely crushes any streaming platform. But to understand why, we need to look at how both systems work and what they prioritize. Let's start with streaming. Recently, a new season of Squid Game came out. By the way, I didn't like it at all. The first season ended perfectly, and making a second season was just forcing the story to continue. But here's the problem. Squid Game became Netflix's most watched and most successful series, so they had to make a second season to generate millions and millions of dollars. And not only that, but they released the first half of the season and then months later released the second half, so that you'd need at least 2 months of subscription to watch the full season. And that's the thing. Streaming platforms like Netflix, Disney Plus, and Prime Video are built for mass consumption. Their main goal isn't to provide the best image quality, but to reach as many people as possible with an easy and convenient experience. And how do they do that? With 3 simple things: an internet connection, an app, and of course, a subscription. This is why streaming is king when it comes to convenience. But to achieve this, they have to make sacrifices. Since they depend on internet infrastructure, they must drastically reduce bitrate. For example, a 4K movie on a streaming service is usually transmitted at around 15 to 20 megabits per second. That's not bad at all, considering the modern codecs used today do a great job with that bitrate. But here's something important. When working with these numbers, internet bandwidth becomes a key factor. According to speedtest.net, the average global internet bandwidth is about 100 megabits per second. That's the total bandwidth, not the video bitrate. So if we're watching a 4K movie on Netflix at 20 megabits per second, we still have about 80 megabits per second left, assuming we have a 100 megabits per second connection. Seems fine, right? But now, imagine your mom is watching her own Netflix show on another TV. Now you're down to 60 megabits per second. Then your little brother starts watching his favorite streamer on his PC at around 15 megabits per second. Now you have less than half of your internet bandwidth left for all other devices. This is the main reason why streaming services can't afford to double or triple their bitrate. If they did, they wouldn't be able to serve millions of users simultaneously. So they sacrifice quality but reach the highest number of people possible. Now, what about Blu-ray? Why does it have superior quality? Well, Blu-ray and physical media in general has a completely different approach. Since it's a standalone system that doesn't rely on an internet connection, its goal is to deliver the highest possible quality without the bandwidth limitations of streaming platforms. For example, a 4K Blu-ray disc can easily have a bitrate of 100 to 150 megabits per second, or even higher. This means that each pixel from a Blu-ray player contains at least 5 times more information than one from a streaming service. This results in an absurdly superior viewing experience. Reaching these numbers with streaming is practically impossible today. Now, you might say, I have a 1 gigabit per second internet connection, so watching a movie at 100 or 200 megabits per second wouldn't be a problem for me. And you'd be right, but that's not the issue. Even if you have 1 gigabit per second, the real limitation is global bandwidth. As we said before, the goal of streaming platforms is to reach as many people as possible. To keep the system sustainable and prevent it from collapsing, they must heavily compress videos, sacrificing quality for accessibility. This ensures that someone with a 10 megabits per second connection can watch the same content as someone with 1 gigabit per second, maximizing reach. While researching this topic, I initially thought, Blu-ray is an impressive technology, but seems obsolete. Almost no one uses it anymore, and finding a new movie at 200 megabits per second bitrate must be difficult. But I was completely wrong. Almost every new movie released today has a 4K Blu-ray version with an extremely high bitrate. And even though Sony recently announced that they will stop producing blank Blu-ray discs, that doesn't mean movies will stop being released on Blu-ray. Physical media is still alive, and for those who care about quality, it remains the best option. Now, do you need to buy a Blu-ray player and a physical disc to verify what I'm saying? Not necessarily. If you want to experience the difference, there are 2 digital formats to be aware of. BD-RIP, which is a compressed digital version of a Blu-ray, and Remux, which is a digital copy of a Blu-ray with no quality loss, usually in MKV format. The only downside? Remux files are huge. A typical BD-RIP might be around 15 gigabytes, while a Remux can be 60 to 80 gigabytes. But the quality remains intact. So, what do you prefer? The fast, easy convenience of streaming or the impressive sharpness and superior quality of Blu-ray? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. I read all comments, so leave one below. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.